Hi everyone, welcome to Ben Hillner's Record Reviews. This is my first time doing a YouTube channel. I have been watching YouTube for much of my life now. I was born in the year of 2000, so right as about YouTube was really, right at about the same time that YouTube was being born. And honestly, I remember watching tons and tons of cat videos on it. It was completely stupid and useless. But as I've grown a little older, I've realized YouTube can be used for many, many more useful things, such as gaming videos. You can do reviews on it and things like that. And I've decided to take a music route. I'm doing record reviews for you guys. What got me started on this is my good friend Alex Grinnells from Alex Games really got me into this, into the whole making videos thing. And I really enjoy his videos. And once again, Alex Games, go check him out. His videos are so much fun. They're entertaining. It'll make you laugh. He acts like a dork, but that's what's great about it. So, without further ado, I'd like to talk about this album, as you can see behind me. This is Pink Floyd's Saucerful of Secrets. This is the second studio album from Pink Floyd from 1968. This is Syd Barrett era. However, Syd Barrett is not too present in this album. And if you don't know who Syd Barrett is, Syd Barrett was the original founder of Pink Floyd, one of the greatest progressive rock bands of all time, in my opinion. Remember, my opinion is completely different from yours, of course. But this album, to me, is pure psychedelic gold. 1968 is a year of just very, very interesting music. You had the Zombies with Odyssey and Oracle. You had Bob Dylan first coming out with new music, things like that. And this album just came crashing in about 1968, and it was a lot of fun. Many people enjoyed it. One of the greatest videos of Pink Floyd, this isn't really dealing with this album, but this tells you about the era that it comes from a little bit, is a video of them performing at a place called the UFO Club in London. And if you don't know what the UFO Club is, the UFO Club was a music club that was open in London until the late 80s, I believe. I have to check on that. But they are they're performing a song called Interstellar Overdrive from their first initial album, which was Piper at the Gates of Dawn. This album is the final album to include Syd Barrett, unless you want to include the 1969 album Umaguma, which is a completely live album which includes Careful with That Axe Eugene and things like that, other classic favorites. So this album contains 7 songs. All of them are pretty darn phenomenal in my opinion. One of them is a 11-minute song. It's called the same thing as the title, Saucerful of Secrets. And it's purely an amazing sound. It's crisp, it's clear, and it's weird. That's the best part about early Pink Floyd. They are weird, but they're not afraid to be weird. Unfortunately, with Syd Barrett, after this album, he had to go because he was getting onto some hallucinogenics that were really messing with his mind, and he unfortunately fell victim to the monstrous claws of addiction. So this album, in my opinion, is one of Pink Floyd's best. However, it cannot compare to The Dark Side of the Moon, The Wall, Momentary Lapse of Reason, and The Division Bell. I don't believe it can compare to them whatsoever. While the album is fun, it does have some weaknesses, and it's sometimes it's not too consistent in areas. If you listen to Saucerful of Secrets, it's basically just a bunch of noise. I'm not necessarily that big of a fan of that kind of music. However, you may be. It sounds like they have a pet cat walking across the piano at points. However, I will give that song a good thumbs up for the celestial voices that they use at the end of the song with the pipe organ and the church choir that they do use. Has a very, very heroic ballad in it. One of the greatest songs on this album, in my opinion, is the final track, and it is called Jug Band Blues, and it is the only song to contain Syd Barrett on this album. This is basically him saying goodbye. The lyrics go, "It's awfully considerate of you to think of me here," and it's him disappearing. It's really sad, because he didn't want to be addicted. He thought it would be fun, and it pulled him down. But it starts out with a Roger Waters solo track called "Let There Be More Light." Has a very 1960s psychedelic sound. Then you get to "Remember a Day," which starts out kind of eerie, creepy, haunted kind of sounding, and then it gets into a lot more of an upbeat tune and a lot more exciting, honestly. Um, then you get to "Set the Controls for the Heart of the Sun," which is just weird. And honestly, this is a little bit of where I was talking about the inconsistency. While I do believe that every album should have a ballad within it in some way, I don't think this one was necessarily appropriate for this album. It starts out really, really soft and quiet, and it's psychedelic, very psychedelic. But after you hear the upbeat sound of the entire album, it's just really strange to go into this very, very soft and kind of eerie sound to it. Early Pink Floyd is meant to be fun, in my opinion. If you want a fun Pink Floyd album, listen to Piper at the Gates of Dawn from 1966. And then, after we leave that ballad sort of thing, I guess you could say, you go to Corporal Clegg, which is a very, very unique song. And honestly, I can give Pink Floyd major props for this song. It is a lot of fun. It uses the element of kazoo multiple times. It uses the kazoo, which is very uncommon in a studio album. I believe Pink Floyd was very daring with taking this approach. Pretty much this whole album was daring because it was very, very different from Piper at the Gates of Dawn. It contained less tracks. The songs actually had some meaning to them this time. They actually meant something each song. And honestly, I have to give them props. This is a major, major experimental album. And I can say it turned out really well for Pink Floyd. And I've already talked about Saucerful of Secrets. Then you get to Seesaw, and it sounds a lot, and Seesaw is a very unique sound, because Seesaw kind of sounds like it's coming from the mind of a child, if you know what I'm saying. He goes up while she goes down. You know, it's a lot of fun. It's a very, very unique song, and it's interesting. So, and then I've also talked about Jugman Blues. Now, this particular record is a re-release that I recently got. Pink Floyd did a very good job of remastering and re-releasing every last one of their studio albums from 1966 to 2014, and they're quite wonderful. Here's the front cover art. It's very hard to understand, but if you can see right here, that is a very distorted picture of the band. And then if you flip to the back, more really, really psychedelic, distorted art from the band. It's very strange. It honestly, I can't explain the art. No one can explain the art, but that's what makes it wonderful. It's obscure, it's different, it's fun. And it's something new to look at every day. And yeah. Unfortunately, this particular album does not contain a special inner sleeve like Dark Side of the Moon or albums like that, but this is fine. It's your standard black inner sleeve. And the record, and what I have to give props to about Pink Floyd with all this is that these re-releases aren't warped at all. See, if I spin it on my finger, no bounce really. It's a great record. It sounds wonderful, remastered by really, really, really good hands at what they do. And honestly, I don't think it gets much better when it comes to remastering and re-releasing pieces as what Pink Floyd has done. It does not get much better. Unfortunately, they do have the PF Release 2 on the back, which is a little cheesy in my opinion. See, because you have the front, it's beautiful, but then when you turn to the back, you have that in the corner. It's not as bad as if you put a barcode in the middle of it, which is about what a whole bunch of idiots do, but this looks really good. Something else I also have to complain about for a second is this really cheesy art. On the bottom, I don't know if you can see it or not, the original record sleeves used to fold over and be glued like that. That's just printed on there. That's laziness in my opinion, and I do not do well with laziness whatsoever. However, it's a minor thing, so I'll let it go. It is not a big deal. Um, if I were to give this Pink Floyd album a rating, 1 through 10 stars, 1 being the worst, 10 being the best, and the re-release quality, there's 3 factors that go into this. There's the crispness of the sound, there's the re-release quality, and then there's, of course, the album itself. I would give this a 7 out of 10, which is pretty darn good, but still moderately unstable at places. It has its ups and it has its downs. However, if you're going to lay in bed and just relax and read a book or listen to a record, this is perfectly good for that. So I really appreciate everyone tuning in, and I really hope that I can keep doing this for you guys. I plan to do 1 video a week. I share a room with my brother, so sometimes it does not quite permit, but I am really excited to get started with this. Ben Hillner's record reviews, come on back. I'm really happy to do more reviews. Leave your likes and leave your comments in the section below, and I will talk to you later. Keep it spinning.